Andrea, welcome to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Thank you, Scott.
I'm excited that you're here because I know it's taken me a wee bit of work to get you here, a few emails. I know the thing is you're really busy, right? So I appreciate you taking the time. We've got some exciting news to share later on in your podcast. But hey, you're one of our clients and you do some really, really cool stuff. One of the things, because you're so busy, I read some things online about you from LinkedIn. A couple of people have put some cool stuff on there.
Nice.
And they said that you're highly motivated, driven, and you have a willingness to help others. And I just think that's one of the coolest traits you can have as a person. What is it about that? Where did you learn that? And how did you become that person? Because to have other people say that about you, something, you've done some things in your life.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I don't think I've ever even thought about it, to be honest. I think I'd like to treat others as I want them to treat me, obviously.
Oh, I like that.
And I also want to demonstrate, I guess you're always, as a parent, you're always looking at what is the example that I'm going to give.
Nice.
Especially, when your children start to get to adulthood and you think, oh gosh, actually that's a trait that I recognise, and it's probably because it's one that is a behavioural more than anything else. I think from a younger age it probably came from people pleasing. Yeah. Okay. So probably it was driven from what's not a very confident place when you're trying to just people please.
Yeah, okay.
So I think from a psychology point of view, maybe that's where it started. But then when you give out, and you watch somebody receive and then you get their reaction, it just kind of fills up your cup.
Yeah.
So it's probably just that.
You start to see what you're doing and the impact it starts having on other people, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Totally.
That's very cool. Did you grow up with parents because I grew up and I really remember my grandmother saying, she said it to everyone in the family, treat other people how you'd want to be treated. And it's never left me. And some people say, oh, that's not the right way to do it. But I believe my grandmother was right. And you just said it. Yeah. Where did you get that from?
I morphed your grandmother just then for you, especially.
Well, it was such a cool thing. Because when you think about it, how would I want to be treated? Would I want to be treated with respect? Well, then give respect, I did something for my son, and I don't know if it's the right thing to do, but I did it this morning. I cleaned his shoes without him even asking me to do that.
Nice.
And I didn't even tell him I did it. And then I left to go to work, and he would have had clean shoes on. When I mean clean them, I wiped all the dirt off them, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, how would I want to be treated? Well, I would want someone else to come and clean my shoes one day. So why don't I do that for him? He doesn't even know that I've done it. Well, he'll know now, but that was just one of those things. My wife was saying, don't clean your shoes. And I was like, well, I'm going to do them anyway. I don't do it all the time, but I just wanted to do that.
Yeah, and that's teaching them you can do something without receiving as well.
Yeah. That's cool. So how did you become then driven? Because you own a business, you're expanding the business.
Yes.
You're very good at focusing on growing and understanding the numbers of a business. Where did the driven and the sales skills, and I know that's a big question, and we'll unpack a lot of it. Because look, business owners here, they're in the same, they're in the same camp. They've got lots of balls in the air, and it's Thermoglaz. You have lots of balls in the air. Where did your drivenness come from, if that's even a word?
I guess if we were to pull it, sort of break it down to its initial, it came from the need to earn money.
Okay.
So I grew up in a very working class household with a single mum. So there was no spare cash to go around.
Nice.
And there was certainly no vehicle to drive. We walked, walked or bussed, I should say. Cars were a bit of a luxury for us. So I sort of looked at my environment and thought, well, I was heavily involved in sports. And one of my sports involved lots of travel.
What sport did you play?
Rowing. Cool. So I was a coxswain for Canterbury. And I did that right through school and actually through to my early 20s and still today. So that's an expensive sport.
Yeah.
When you come from a low, earning household, you have to get, pretty creative. So I don't really use the word hustle, but I guess I actually did learn to hustle from a really young age.
Question, because I had the similar experience, but I was playing cricket. Were you around, you were around, because rowing is a private school kind of gig, right?
Yes.
You were around people with money and
100%.
I was the same. Like we came from, my mum and dad split up when I was 11. We were a one-car family. I played cricket. I was reasonably good at it, so got to represent Canterbury.
Nice.
But everyone I played with went to private schools, and I went to Papanui High.
Yeah.
And it was kind of always that you kind of knew that you didn't have some of the stuff that other people had.
Totally. Yeah. So I went to Aranui High School.
Yeah. Wow.
And grew up in what I call Upper Wainoni. In a 2-story mansion that just happened to be owned by the council. And we had a free orchard in our backyard because that was, a bit of a necessity back in the day from New Zealand housing. So I guess for me, I joined rowing at the very young age of 9.
Oh, wow.
I started.
What was it about rowing?
I followed my brother.
Okay.
I was just nosy. I wanted to know where he was going every night, and I thought, I thought he was up to no good, and I wanted to tell him.
Because you
typical
weren't
little
that far
sister.
away, being in Aranui, you weren't that far away from the rowing.
Correct, yeah. So I literally walked down to the rowing club down at the Reach, and I stood there and watched a bunch of people doing what they were doing, and I was trying to figure it out. And then a gentleman came up to me named Chris Duncan, and he said, "Oh, you're tiny." He said, "You'd be a good coxswain." And I said,
"That's funny.
I don't know what it is, but I'll give it a go," because I was quite adventurous. Yep. So I thought, I'll give it a go. And next minute I was in a boat with a bunch of women, and I was learning how to be a coxswain. And, that took me through to actually being an elite coxswain for Canterbury. So that was great, and some really great opportunities come from that. Some of those opportunities were actually the people, so the different lifestyle, the different chat, the motivation, like the importance of schooling. That actually came from a group of women who had gone through private schooling, who had that mentality, who had that upbringing to say, and that's not to say that we didn't think school was important, but it was just spoken about in a really different, positive language.
How cool that you were put in that environment, because lots of the times it's your environment that shapes where you're going to go.
100%.
And I know for me, sport was a big part of that. And I probably didn't go to school to study and do that sort of stuff, but definitely being around, and that's what you got. The being around those people with just that little bit of a different mindset. Yeah,
and also opportunity. With it came confidence. So I was fairly quiet. I was adventurous, but I was a quiet child, quite shy. And but from that, I got to sit in a boat.
Nice.
Yell at adults.
Yell at people.
Learn to hear my voice, which was I realised was actually quite a powerful instrument, quite a powerful tool. Yeah. But actually, what I did learn from a really young age is that I loved coaching. Okay. I loved to be able to start with a group of people and be part of their incremental success, I guess. And as I've gotten older, I guess practices like that the Japanese use, like the Maizan theory, incremental improvement every day. That's what rowing is. It's really, you've got to be incredibly determined. You've got to be very structured. You've got to be really dedicated. And that's what I learned from being in that sport. And then that I think that was if I was to put it down, that would be the foundation.
Well, some great lessons to learn early on, right? Just
work ethic was in there. That's huge.
Because it was interesting. Did you think you know that your work ethic came from? Because I know this is where mine came from. Is my parents didn't have the spare money for you to go and buy those jeans. Yeah. So I had to find ways, and my brother found ways of earning money. I think we did like 3 jobs. We were the milk boy, the paper run, and we collected the money for the paper run.
Right. Yeah.
but we worked, right? Was that sort of stuff that you were doing as well?
It was, yeah. And the in the season I'd go with my dad and we'd go potato digging. So, really hard graft work. We
did that as well.
Yeah. So there would be potato digging. I'd go tree planting with him on the odd occasion, which is, that's no easy feat for a grown man, let alone a teenager. So I think that gave me the baseline. As soon as I got, it sounds a little bit, it sounds a bit silly, I suppose, saying it out loud, but the biggest motivation I had is that I knew I didn't want to be reliant on a government. I've watched my mum have to do that, and it's not a fun place. I didn't want to be reliant on someone else housing me. And I knew that from quite a young age. And it's funny because when you grow up in a suburb, you don't think you're any different to anybody else. No. And then I guess so there's that social impact that happens as you start to get a bit older.
Yeah.
And then when you get diverse reactions to where you grew up, how you grew up, and people do that comparison, and Canterbury's very good at that.
Yes.
Then that also gives you a bit of motivation.
Yeah. Well, I think the coolest thing there is you got exposed to it. And you got exposed to it like I got exposed to it, and something inside your head went, actually, I've got a choice here.
Yes.
I can go this path or this path. What path do I want to choose? And you decided to start doing some things to choose another path.
Yeah.
And I think that is the coolest thing, because some people can be in that environment and never change, right?
That's right.
And that's, hey, like, we're not here to grandstand, but that's just the way they've done stuff, right? Where you had that little bit of light, and it's when, I don't want this. I'm gonna make some other choices and do it some other ways.
I also think like the people that were surrounding me around my own community. I had an amazing mentor who was my neighbour, and she had some really tough times, and what she passed on to me was like, you are brilliant, you are amazing, you are everything you're doing, you keep doing that, don't listen to critics, don't worry about not fitting in. I used to feel a little bit like I was a little bit left side of not the group fit in.
Yep.
I used to be friends with everyone, but no real, like I didn't have a hand group or anything like that. I just liked to be friends with everybody. So, and also, obviously my family, they were huge supporters when it came to rowing and school. I was called the nerd in our family because I did okay in some of my exams, so that was always funny.
That is, like when you look back on your life and you realise there's a mentor there, and one of the things when I started coaching my son's cricket team, what I realised is there's lots of kids turn up and actually their parents aren't there. So there's no one actually, because they're busy, right? They're actually working or stuff, and I'm coaching them, and I'm like going, you know what? No one's actually told this kid, I believe it. I believe in you. So it was my job. And I used to say to the kids, hey, you know what? It doesn't matter if you don't believe in yourself, because I believe in you. And I believe in you. I believe in you. And that's what your mentor did to you. The person said, hey, you're brilliant. You're amazing. They started to sow those seeds that you can do stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's really powerful, because I'd say to the kids, one day you're going to believe in yourself. But right now, you don't have to, because I believe in you. Yeah. And I think that's a real powerful thing that you can give other people, right? And someone gave that to you.
I think that's why teachers are incredibly undervalued sometimes.
100%.
Because they are the people quite often who are quietly giving those fantastic messages to our kids.
Yeah.
And, actually my eldest daughter's training to be a teacher at the moment, and she's going to experience all of that world. But if I was to look at teachers, and I think there were some huge mentors in my, my school years, my drama teacher, once upon a time he said I could sing, and I foolishly believed him. So, but it gave me courage to go and be in the choir.
Honestly, if that was something I wish I could do, I would love to sing. I'd love to be like Robbie Williams, like be able to sing. Like that'd be.
I hope you bought tickets. Isn't he coming to town?
Yeah, that'd be the dream for me. Like seriously, if I could get on stage and sing.
Nice.
But it's not happening. I've tried karaoke, and the team here, no, you're not allowed. Hey, so you have this philosophy. You're growing up. People are starting to see where does business start to fit in, because you've come in from a family that's obviously is one income. Were they split? your mum and dad?
Yes,
Yeah. So where did business start to boil up in all of this?
Yeah, I'd have to say it was actually, there was a defining moment. I started my career out working for the post office, then telecom, and then the name changed to Spark, of course.
Yes.
And then I went on maternity leave and had my eldest daughter, Rebecca.
Yep.
And while on maternity leave, I actually got made redundant from Spark, and I just bought my first house with my fiance. So and he was studying to be a teacher. So we were sort of thinking, holy heck.
Yeah.
And I sort of thought, well, okay, I'll probably just need to dig deep and bring out the hustle. So I worked as a cleaner, worked for Yardley's Bakery and at New World Supermarket.
Wow.
So I did the 3 jobs in my daughter's first year so that we could stay in our house and he could stay at Teachers College. He also worked multiple jobs as well. So you've got that's the family need, right? That's the driver is the family.
And that driver, so that was burnt into you, right? Like it's like, we're surviving here. We're not going to like just rest on our laurels or actually just take handouts. We're going to dig deep. We're going to take 3 jobs, plus, and we're going to, and so that is like, that's a mindset, right?
Totally. Yeah. And then I was thinking to myself, gosh, like I'd like to also do something that interests me. Yeah. And at the time, makeup interested me. So, I was only 24.
Yeah.
But makeup interested me. And I thought, okay. And I went to this Nutrimedics party and the lady Leslie that was there, she said, oh, you have great personality for selling. And I was like, oh, okay. I used to work at Hannah's.
Yep.
Maybe. When I was at school.
Cool.
And I thought, maybe. And then she told me about the business model that they have, which of course is, was a pyramid model.
Multi-level marketing.
Multi-level marketing. Yeah. And I thought, gosh, I could do this because I could drop one of the other jobs in time. Once I've built it up, I'll invite all my friends and family like you do. I'll have a party. We'll see where it goes.
Well, that was their model, right?
Yeah, I'll invest. So I think that's the key, right? You've got to, whatever you're doing, you've got to invest something. You've got to put some skin in the game.
I like that.
So I paid $300 for my Nutrimedics kit.
Yep.
I played with it for hours. It was fascinating for me. I went to all the classes. So that's the other thing, education. If you want to do something, get educated about it. Become knowledgeable in your field. So one party in 6 months led to 3 parties each, 3 parties a week in the evenings.
How good.
And that led from a 0 client base to around 500 clients who were repeatedly either booking parties, and it's just, it's that growth thing, right?
That.
I'll tell your friend, you tell my friend, they'll tell their friend.
Yeah.
And that sustained our family. We dropped the New World job. My husband dropped one of his jobs. So that's because we kind of didn't need to do that.
What did you love about that? Because I know a wee bit about that model, and I think, it's definitely, I don't know if it's around as much as today.
No, I don't think it is.
But what a really cool model. You're inviting people to come in and see the product and then use the product. And then people obviously, are making some extra income.
Yeah.
Like what was it to you that lit a fire? Because you went from 0 to 500.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty awesome, right?
Yeah. And it definitely happened, in, I guess, in the right time frame as well.
Did you think
timing's everything?
Did you think because you had the hunger, but also you liked the product?
I loved the product.
You loved the product, right?
So it was easy for me because I really loved all the goop that we got to play with.
Yeah. And did people see like, oh, you look good, or you look, what have you done? And then like, obviously other people want to try that, and they're not, and then
I never had sisters, so I never got to play with makeup like that, and Mum wouldn't let me touch hers because it was expensive and she didn't have much. So I think there was that side. I got to meet a childhood girly need.
Do you remember how much you made out of that business?
Well, paid the mortgage.
Yeah, because some people made a lot of money out of network marketing.
So network marketing comes down to when you start building teams, right?
Yeah.
So, I had a few sales consultants.
What did you learn?
What did I learn about the sales consultants?
Yeah, about like that whole kind of, starting from 0, going to 500. What did you learn?
I learned that growing fast is not always good.
Wow.
Because you can be all of a sudden you can be overcommitted.
Yep.
And I was also a young mum, and a first-time mum. So being overcommitted is not always great. But then I also learned that I tend to flourish when I'm a bit overcommitted.
Yep.
Yeah, that's another driver, I guess. Yeah.
Tell me about that. Like, so when you've got more things to do, isn't there a saying? There's a saying, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. Is that you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. So you actually thrived in being overcommitted, and what about other people around you? Did they start to see and thrive off that as well?
Well, I think that if the energy that you're putting out, if you surround yourself with people who are, also driven by their environment.
Yep.
Then they'll just naturally thrive.
Yeah, I like that. The energy you're putting out, that's key, right? I've heard that a number of times recently. And the energy that you're putting out, if you put out really good energy and you're part of it, and people feel it, they want to be part of it, right? And that's probably something when you're doing that, because lots of people, you would have had people coming in and buying into this business. They would have taken it home, and the husband would have gone, "What is that?"
Definitely.
Yeah. So you have to keep those people, motivated and wanting to move forward, right?
Yeah. Sure. And in that business, I had a mentor as well.
Cool.
So the woman who I first met, Leslie, she was fantastic. Her energy was amazing.
Yeah.
I had a great situation yesterday. I'm actually training a new sales consultant at Thermoglaz. She's already been in our team quite a while.
Yep.
And she is a person who brings just a super amount of high energy.
Nice.
But it's super positive. She's really client focused. She cares so much about not just what she does, but she cares about the client and the business and the outcome. And I'd have to say that, you're a very lucky person if you get, an entire team
100%,
of people like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're not all like that. So you do have to then work out, well, what's my mentorship going to look like?
Yeah.
How am I going to deliver what you need?
Yeah.
To be able to get what we need as a team.
Yeah.
And you get it wrong and you get it right.
Yep.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
So when you get it wrong, which, I would have to say, I've got it wrong so many times it's not funny.
Yeah.
But I have to just keep learning from it. I also think that over the years, and especially so with this business, I'm learning what a healthy boundary means, because sometimes I would almost give too much.
Yep.
And then I would be disappointed.
Yeah. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I think it's about...
I think that's a common with people that are listening.
Right.
And it's that's why, let's talk about that, because I think it's something that people struggle with, especially as business owners.
Yeah. I think that, when you're an employer, you're responsible, obviously, for people's income. You want to make sure that you're providing the bare necessities, of course, which is that there is work for people to do that they can stay employed and you can stay in business.
Yeah.
I think that, that's the cold hard facts. Is that, every night you go to bed and you think about, okay, have we got things where we should have them?
Yeah.
What should we start, or recreate? And then have we got the right people in the team? I think one of my biggest things for a long time has been, this is my glass ceiling.
Yep.
And I try to keep pushing it up. And my expectation is that every other human being in the world also wants to keep pushing through their glass ceiling.
Yep. When you talk about glass ceiling, what are you talking about there? Are you talking about an income level? Are you talking about a mindset level?
Actually, both.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you could have an employee where their skill set might be here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you want to give them training to get them
to
here.
the next level.
There's no point doing that if their mindset is still here.
Yeah.
Or they don't have the desire to do that.
Yeah, because their mindset could be, that's just more work.
Yeah.
Versus, I could learn a new skill that could make me more efficient, which would open and find other ways of doing things, right?
Absolutely. And I think that for definitely the learning part of my career and as an employer, I've tended to want people to always push through their glass ceiling.
Yeah.
But actually, I haven't asked them if they wanted to. Guilty. Yeah. Right? It's because you want the best for the person, but you want and you're selfish. You also want the best for your business.
Yeah.
you know.
That is an interesting one, eh? Like not actually asking people if they want that, you know, because just because you want it and you've got some other people around you that want it doesn't mean everyone else wants it. Guilty as charged. Yeah. Oof, that's a good one. Because you it's like anything, you see what you see, and like I guess because you see the flip side of it too. You see the potential in people, and you also see what maybe is holding them back.
Yes.
So you try through your I guess because you've been your experience of what the benefits of doing that are, that you want that for other people, but maybe it's just not the right time for them.
Yeah, and also maybe it's not the right combination.
Yeah.
You know, maybe me and you aren't the right combination. Yeah. You know, or my company and your ethos or whatever just don't align.
Yeah.
So I think you've got to have the hard conversations. Yeah. You know, and I'd probably say at 50 something years old, I'm just learning that now. I'm just learning now that, you know, boundaries are really, really important as an employer, not over giving.
Yeah.
You know, one of my management team said, you know, that not everyone's your family or your child and you don't have to spoil them all.
Yeah.
You know, and it is about,
okay,
let's be a team, but let's also make sure that I'm giving out and we're all giving, you know, as well as receiving. It's not the employer's job just to give out all the time.
100%.
You know,
it's a great takeaway for business owners listening, you know, and permission that you don't actually have to be giving all the time.
Yeah.
We think sometimes if we're not giving, we're going to lose, you know, on the other side of it, but it's not actually true. You know, my wife says something really interesting to me most of the times, and she'll say, people come to your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime.
Yeah.
And I really like that, because some people do come into your life for a season, you know, they come in and they make your business better for one part and then they leave. Some people come in for a reason, you know, and maybe to teach you something else. And then you have the people that are there for a lifetime. And when you find those people in your business for a lifetime, you can actually build something pretty special, but realize not everyone here is for a lifetime.
No. And I think I've had quite a contrast in business about the teams that we've had.
Yeah.
A previous company that my partner and I had was an IT company, and it was, you know, a very well-known IT company up in Nelson, and, you know, that company was purchased with team members who had been in the group for 20 plus years.
Wow.
So really, you know, great longevity. When we sold that company, you know, part of the agreement was those standing people would have jobs for 12 months. That was what we wanted, you know, and with their staff permission, that's also what they wanted. They wanted security.
Yeah.
And what a great takeaway for the new owners that they had long-standing people standing that they wouldn't have to try and do a restructure with. Sadly, so this is all about culture, right?
Yeah.
Sadly, that culture actually pretty much, I believe, died out after the year was up. I believe there are only 2 people out of the 25 that still are with that company, you know, and you go to yourself, okay, what did we do that was so different?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, well, first of all, we did buy a company that had great staff.
Yeah.
Then we continued on traditions that were already there rather than changing them. And then we also added some new traditions.
What were some of the things that were there?
One of the things was that we want to have a management meeting every Thursday at lunchtime. That's your lunch break. Got people's permission and said, well, if we buy lunch so that we can eat and keep going and have this chat and hear how everyone's doing. So, you know, and a tie was the answer. Tie taken was the answer. Christmas functions, you know, there was some stuff where I'm really proud of, where when I arrived on the scene, there was a pantry full of carbohydrates and junk food, because these guys work really, really long hours and they're really, you know, using a lot of brain mass. And so we just did some subtle change outs and we had pushback to start off with.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But then what happened was that pushback originally was fear because it was a change.
Yeah.
Then the new replacement of fruit good healthy stuff. No V drinks. Instead, we had like new cooler systems for water and some other stuff.
Yeah.
And which sounds all very well, but we didn't take everything away.
Yeah.
You know, the chocky biscuits stayed.
Nice.
You know, the beers on Friday stayed.
Yeah.
You know, that was part of the culture. But we just tried to look after the people who were putting in those hours. So from that, what happened is that one person who hadn't cut their hair for a very long time asked to have a haircut.
Wow.
So he got a haircut, which it seems strange and weird, but it was actually really significant in his life and his moment. He then went on to meet a partner. He hadn't had a partner.
Wow.
They went on to have a child. They're now married. You know, it's just like you watched this change, and all because he started eating healthy.
Yeah.
I'm not taking I'm not taking any acknowledgement of that, or, you know, like any accolade at all.
Yeah.
But then he started going to the gym.
Yeah.
And then he started to feel better. And, you know, you just watch the snowball of an effect. And, you know, because sometimes change is bloody scary.
Yeah. That's pretty cool though, right? Like that's, as an employer, I always believe small hinges swing big doors, right? Like it's never the big things that you can do, you know, and I was talking to the team about this yesterday, you know, with some of the culture stuff that we do, you know, a daily stand-up meeting. And, you know, this morning was a teach me. So everyone goes around and teaches people one thing that they've learned to know. And like, it's amazing how little things like that, you know, a fruit bowl, you know, hey, we're not taking away everything, but hey, we're just going to change this.
Yeah.
And for some person, we'll pick that up and it's a life-changing moment. But it doesn't happen like the next day and it doesn't happen the next week, but over a period of 6 months, 12 months, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy, right? How good is that, you know? Must make you pretty proud to see things like that happen.
Yeah, I wasn't really popular at the time, to be fair. But, you know, sometimes it's okay not to be popular as well.
How did you take that, not being popular? You know?
Well, I was in a company full of engineers, and I'm a salesperson. So if you've ever done disc or dot or anything like that, and you're in the triangles, I was the only person in my triangle.
Oh, wow.
Literally. So I was the only person in my triangle, which was creative, communicative, and innovative, and everyone else was really, really sort of D personality or blue dot, where they were like they're very engineer brained,
resistant to change.
Absolutely, and also cut the chat, lady. You know, I talked way too much for them, and you know they were just I could see it. So what I had to do is I sort of tried to carry this through the rest of my career, is to bring myself to the person I'm sitting with, energy and
nice.
And I think that definitely helps.
I like that. So I wanted to capture something because you said something really, really interesting around start, stop, and I think it was recreate. Tell me about that, and because I've heard the start, stop, I haven't heard the recreate. So what have you done there? Because it sounded really interesting.
So from that, well, for a start, from our management team, we have a 3-tier management team. We have the director, and then we have our GM. And the reason that we have our GM at our directors meetings is so that we can look at what's working, what's not working, and then if it's kind of working but it does need to be tweaked, we need to sort of recreate that.
Okay.
We don't want to recreate the wheel every 5 minutes.
No.
You know, we've already got strong processes and policies in place, but to recreate, you've got to look at what aren't your strengths.
Okay.
So if I was to say sales is my strength, management is a strength that I would like to work on or recreate.
Okay.
So therefore, what am I going to do? What do we need for me to do that, to recreate that? If my tank, which is another tool that we use every month as a management team, we look at how full is our tank?
Okay.
How do we feel on that tank? And by tanking, I just mean we're taking what is the measure that we would give ourselves out of 10, 1 being the lowest, 10 the highest, for my mindset at the moment.
Nice.
What is my health? What is we always ask about if we've got family, which we all know that we have in our group. We ask about our family and our personal life. And we give that score in front of one another. And
they're rated from what? 1 to
10.
1 to 10, and one's obviously
one's
low.
Like, oh my God, we're on the low side of life.
And 10
is like, you know, like we're good. You know, we don't want to grade 10s, this sort of thing. There's no end to how you feel. If you feel great, then you probably feel better than a 10 sort of thing. But what it does is it tells my other team, I can now communicate with them, with my other managers, and say, look, this is a bit of an area I'm struggling in. like either my mindset, my health. You know, I've just had the flu, you know, actually join the club. So is everybody. But at the moment that my energy level is only at about a 40 or a 50. And, you know, to recreate what we need, well, my management team will go, what do you need?
Nice.
What do you need for us to get either some help for you?
So how often do you do that? Because it's really good.
We do that every month.
Cool.
Yeah. And then we have a check-in every 2 weeks.
Nice.
So, and we always do the tank. So twice a month.
Yep.
Pretty much.
So twice a month, you're checking in. How's your mindset? How's your family? How's your energy? How's your health? How's your personal going? And it's a scale from 1 to 10. Yep. What do you do? Like, so someone says, man, family's at 4.
Yep.
Like, what? Like, are you looking to solve problems, or are you looking to? What?
I guess the natural human reaction for us to first do is to say, how can we help?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And then they may say, actually, just talking about it was enough today, or I might actually need a bit of personal time.
Yeah.
Because my family need me over here more at the moment. So then I'm not going to be as available over here. So it's allowing that to happen. Yeah. You know, without having your own agenda, go, oh my God, you know, but that's just going to cause me a whole lot of headaches because that has a flow-on effect and blah, blah, blah. And so you take the me out of it almost. You go like, I don't want me to now influence your tank. I want me to be part of the solution to help get you from the 4 to the 8. Yeah. You know, or whatever that's going to be. Yeah. The tank is from a previous business. I used to be a business coach as a startup, and that was through a company, the Alternative Board. So that's actually a very tried and tested process. Comes out of America, but it's just part of their toolbox.
What a great process, though. Like to obviously filling the tank is that kind of what it talks about. Yeah. But what a great process to check in and be real human about who you are as a business, right?
Yeah, and it gives us the ability to go, actually, do you know what? I don't go to the gym.
Yeah.
And I haven't been for 5 days.
Yeah.
You know, and I haven't been swimming. So my health tank feels really low. Yep. You know, but actually I've got these really cool things that are feeding my energy at the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
And even though I might be a little bit under the weather, I've got these other areas.
I think that every business owner could do that, right? Like if you've got a leadership team, you can actually just do it with your team as well, like checking in and asking how their energy is and how their mindset is and how their family is. That is such a good takeaway. And so that's part of your stop, start, recreate.
Yes.
I really like how you've wrapped that around. Do you only do that at the kind of that board level in your business, or do you do it at the other level as well?
We formally do it at our board level.
Yep.
And we informally do it by just injecting that into the team in some way.
Yeah, yeah.
We don't sit around with the team and go, hey, fill out your tank. But we inject it by just basic human questions, like, I know that one of my team might be going through something.
Yep.
So that tank mentality is just like, how are you going?
Yeah.
Is there anything that we can do to help?
Nice.
I can see your push for time. Why don't you bugger off now?
Yeah, yeah.
It's just that awareness, I guess, about what we actually need as a team.
Yeah. Hey, it's 2026. You're listening to this podcast and you've probably heard of AI. So here's what I want you to do. We've created a free playbook that'll actually help you with AI and help your business get recommended. So all you need to do is go to the show notes or the link that's in this video, and I'll send you this playbook for free. So I want to change gears a little bit because I know that you actually won Rookie of the Year in a sales environment, and you've become very, very good at sales. Tell me what you love about sales. And I think, we were talking before, like at the start, you probably didn't even know it was sales. So tell me about it.
I've never really looked at sales as when someone says you're a salesperson. I love a chat is what I've learned. I love actually hearing about other people.
Yeah.
So when
naturally curious.
Yeah, nice. And I just love it when people I feel really honoured when somebody starts to tell me their story.
Yeah, nice.
And I get this on the daily, so it's like it's like a little drug for me.
Yeah.
That I get to hear about someone's, either it could be in the moment story.
Yep.
It could be something that's happening in their life right at this moment, something traumatic. It doesn't, it doesn't really take any exact form as such. You just having the openness to listen.
How good.
That's what I really like about sales. And then what I see naturally happen, I've been in sales 40 years. So,
wow.
And when I first started in a retail store at Hannah's, yes, I didn't really realise that, I didn't actually know that we got paid commission. This is probably terrible, but I've never looked at commission checks.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I've never counted commission as part of my income. I get it lands in my bank.
Nice.
And I always treat myself from a commission payment.
Yeah.
I've always done that.
That's cool. What did you buy? Like stuff that you wanted? Like
when I was younger, and I worked at Hannah's, it was definitely shoes.
Yeah.
Makeup, obviously, clothing. My first few years, I would take half my pay from Hannah's and I would bank half of it so that I could save. So I'd have savings and I'd spend 10% of it, and then I'd give some to my mum.
Awesome.
Yep, just because we needed it, to be fair, and I had it. And then also a bit of entertainment and stuff, that sort of thing. I didn't know what the power of sales actually meant back then, obviously. I didn't know what the human connectivity was. And I didn't know that I was actually even good at it. And then I got told to come to a dinner. My heel broke on my shoe. And I had to go up on stage. So those sorts of
things.
Those
the shoes you were selling, were they?
No, they actually were from Dowson's because they were the first pair of high heels I could afford.
Funny.
And, I was playing dress up as a kid, to be fair. But that's the sort of thing that happens to me on a regular, to be fair, even these days. And, they awarded me with a Rookie of the Year, which I didn't realise, but then came with a bonus payment.
Wow.
And
that's cool.
Yeah. And it was like, okay, what I do know, even though I don't count the money, I realised that money was for everybody, right?
Yeah.
Money's the vehicle. If you have some, then you can do some things with it.
Yeah. Did you start to realise, though, also you were starting to make money doing something that you actually enjoyed?
Yeah, although I still wouldn't have said that was going to be my career.
No. But I think also, like, when you start to make money with doing things you enjoy, or becomes effortless. Because I remember working at Bond & Bond. And I just remember the guy, I didn't get the job when I first applied, and the guy told me why. He called me in 2 weeks later and said, look, you came across like you didn't want it. And if I'm honest, I was coming back from overseas. I was set to go and play cricket. I was like, I didn't actually want the job. Yeah. But then I realised, actually, you didn't have any money.
I need the money.
I needed the job. So he goes back in and he told me that you came across like you didn't want it. And that really struck me. And then when I got into that environment, a couple of people mentored me, and one guy said, hey, you just need to show people, ask them good questions and then show them how they can afford it. And I was like, I could do that. Because no one had given me sales training, but I really started to enjoy it. Like when you'd see someone come in and they'd want a new TV, they want a VCR, and then like all this other cool stuff, like computers started coming out, and I was like, man, this is cool. And then all of a sudden you'd make money. And you'd get commissions because of how you helped people. I just thought that is, and because I never
praised, and I used to call it praised and the green stuff for your performance.
But I never thought it as sleazy or anything. And I was lucky enough that I saw positive about sales. I just saw sales as helping people.
Yeah.
When other people say, "Oh, you're in sales," and I was like, "Yeah, well, what do you mean? I'm just helping someone."
Yeah. I kind of have changed my personal title around I'm in communications.
Nice.
That's pretty much what I do. I communicate with everybody to figure out what it is that they need in that moment.
And in the role that you're in, like you're doing probably a lot of listening to understand because some of the stuff that you sell is quite technical, and people will be and not only that but quite emotional because people are telling you all the things that are going on with their windows in their house and all that sort of stuff.
Absolutely,
right?
So their lives, and their plans, and they've got their biggest investment. Yeah, that's a responsible conversation. It's an adult one.
Yeah. No, it is, and that. Like it's a big thing to do because people, is their biggest investment. Something interesting though, because you've just made a decision to do something, and I think it's gonna, I think we should let people know what you're up to. I think it's cool because you've kind of You have the personality for this, but also you love helping people, but you also love houses. So let's tell people what you're up to.
Well, I'll probably just touch on the love houses part first.
Okay.
I bought my first house when I was 20, so in a very short time of earning money.
Do you remember how much it cost you?
$82,700.
$82,000. Whereabouts was it?
In Aranui.
Wow.
Shortland Street, which I thought was amazing because that's when Shortland Street started.
Yes.
Yeah. So I thought that was a great omen. Totally unrelated. And great Summerhill stone. Amazing, amazing bones. Nice. And my husband and I, we brought our first daughter there to that house. So it was really special. And then we renovated that. Yep. And I was 7 months pregnant with a sledgehammer in my hands, knocking down a kitchen top shelf. And then I realised, because I just knew that if we did a few things on a very, very, very small budget, that we would probably be able to add value to this property. Nice. We had the property for 18 months and we sold it for $182,000. $100K. So $100K.
How good.
And I don't know, which is just amazing. And, we put a deck on, we put some fencing on, we put some like a paint on, put some carpet in. I think all in all, we might have spent maybe $1,500 to $2,000 and some good hard labour.
Did that start to go, hey, hang on here, I'm working and doing the whacking and cracking, I'm out there, because you were doing a number of things at that time, and just $100K, did you start to go, whoa, did that blow your mind, that you could make that much money in that period of time?
Yeah, well, I don't know if I was mature enough at that stage. I was
going to say, what did you buy?
Well, actually, we went into a teaching home. We moved to Reefton, and we were rent-free, mortgage-free.
Nice.
So we literally were able to start investing that money.
Brilliant.
And then we actually moved over to the UK for several years.
Do you think you got lucky there, or was it luck met opportunity, or luck and hard work met opportunity there?
I think it was definitely a combination, and also the mentors that we had around us. My husband's parents had been homeowners for a long time. They had been very money savvy, and my husband at the time, he was also quite money savvy. So I think just the combination of, I didn't have a lot of that influence growing up, so I was learning lots and lots at the time.
One of the coolest things and one of the themes that's come out of this chat, Andrea, is you definitely had mentors that helped you. But one of the coolest things I think people need to realise when they get in front of a mentor as well is, you still have to do the work.
100%.
And so
no one's going to do it for you.
No one's going to do it for you. And I think this is it's really cool that you've had people, but you also then went and did the work. You went and whacked the things down. You painted. You put carpet down. You did a whole bunch of things. And that's cool. I can see why you love houses.
Yeah, and sales. From a sales perspective, I ended up falling into sales more than choosing it as a career. And I was incredibly fortunate to get a job with Spark or Telecom, and they paid really well. So that enabled us to start, and my husband was a teacher, that enabled us to start looking at what does a portfolio look like.
Nice.
So we had our next house, and then we had another house in Nelson, but we never had multiple houses, and actually till I was quite later on. So all in all, I've lived in approximately 50 houses, and I've renovated 15-ish houses, and I've privately sold many houses and commercial buildings. So that led me 12 years ago to want to really explore, because I actually then realised that actually one of my biggest passions are houses, but also healthy homes.
Nice.
So I kind of combined a few things. And I decided after selling houses privately that I really didn't know what the heck I was doing, and that I should probably put a little bit of education around it.
Nice.
So I then went and set my real estate licence after selling a business, and had a wee sabbatical to do that. And then I joined a team in Christchurch and did real estate for 5 years.
Nice.
So this is obviously very
Was that
recent.
like the dream job for you?
It was. I also love interior design.
Nice.
I love going into people's homes and being able to see. Maybe I'm just nosy. I just love seeing how people live in their space.
Yeah.
And you can learn lots about a person by looking at their space. But you can also pick up heaps of really cool tips.
Good ideas.
About design.
Yeah, I like it.
So then I pretty much did real estate for 5 years, and then we bought Thermoglaz. So I had a real estate business, and I also had a coaching business that I ran simultaneously. So having those two businesses worked really well for me because it kept me nice and busy.
Yep.
And I think I've always been if I'm not a busy kid, maybe I'll get in trouble kid. So it may be why I try and stay busy.
Yeah.
Then I decided that, you know what, this new business that we bought, which is also based around housing.
Yep.
We bought that business because we were sitting in COVID. My business pretty much shut.
Yep.
It's a consulting business. Pretty much shut right there on the spot. And I worked for free for many of my businesses for the 6 months to get them up and running into what they needed to be doing. And then I sort of just carried on with real estate. And then we bought Thermoglaz. Thermoglaz was a fairly small business when we bought it, but we saw some wonderful opportunity. One of the biggest opportunities that I saw, and we were talking about it with my business partner, Russell, that we had an opportunity to go into people's homes and actually see what an improvement just one item, which is the windows and doors, could make to healthy homes. So we wanted to be a big part. That was a real driver for me.
I like that.
You know, I grew up in a state house. I don't know if you remember back in the day, Scott, but we didn't have a lot of insulation in any of our New Zealand houses. No. And sometimes on a -3 degrees, we'd have ice on the inside of the window from the condensation. Those things are all triggers to go, oh, I want to be part of that movement over here that's doing that.
You're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. You wanted to be part of the solution, which is And
look, we've built that over the last 6.5 years, and we've taken it to some great heights. It's gone up, it's gone down. We've moved with the business flow, ebbs and flows as it does, especially with the, world events, economy, all of that stuff. You ride all of the roller coasters. The business model hasn't changed. We still put better thermal solutions in than what was there previously. And every house homeowner has their own story, their own reason, their why. And we're just there to facilitate that. So housing has been a huge part of my sales career, my personal life, my passion. And I was a bit sad when I had to move away from real estate because the business got so busy that I needed to give all my attention to it. And that's what we've done. In the last 12 months, things have changed. So I've had a desire to get back to real estate, to bring that back into my
So you've had to make space for that, right?
I have, So I've made space for that. And the lucky thing for me is that I have this amazing team. So I'm still involved in the management side of Thermoglaz, and we have a team that are out there on the field, doing what they do best. I can still be very much a part of all those stories. What I gained out of Thermoglaz as well is, we're in about 1,000 houses a year. And that knowledge that you gain from just the construction industry that you can now part on to, the homeowners is, because we don't just go there and talk about the windows and doors.
No.
We talk about what are they wanting to achieve?
Nice.
Renovation wise, their dream might be that they're actually going to put the house on the market. Their dream might be that they're going to downsize, but they want to live in it for the next 10 years and they want to make it theirs. They want to make it comfortable for them. There's all the whys, all the whys. So bravely last year, I reset my license, which was no easy feat. And very proud to say that as of the last 2 weeks, I'm one of the newest members of the Harcourts Gold Papanui branch.
Good.
Yeah.
So
Feel
you're going
very
to work
privileged to be there.
You're going to work for Harcourts Gold, which is like the Papanui branch in the Harcourts franchise, the gold team there. One of the best in the world, if not the best in the world, when it comes to Harcourts. You know, like so you've joined a really, really good team, right?
Yeah, I feel exceptionally lucky to have met the people that I met, and again, it's through connection.
Yeah.
You know, I have sold my property with Harcourts. Yep. That's how that connection happened, and that's when the light bulb went, hey, you thought about coming back to real estate? Yeah. And I said, well, it is in the plan. It was supposed to happen 4 years ago. I was only supposed to be at Thermoglaz for 2 years and sit in a management role. So now I've been able to make space for both businesses and to give to both of those businesses in a fair manner that, you know, helps me to continue.
I think it's really cool. Like, there's a couple of things that you said early on I just wanted to capture because I think it's really important. Your why around Thermoglaz was really important, that allowed you to grow, because, you know, when you go into an environment and you want to be part of the solution, that people feel that, right? And I think that's something, you know, you've created because of your mindset in who you are as a person, which you know, then all of a sudden you get inside 1,000 houses, and because of your experience, your brain's going, oh, this, and then you could do this, and all of a sudden you're like, you've grown it to where you've grown your culture inside Thermoglaz, that there is space and you've got other people lifting everything up as well, that you've now got the time to come and do this. That's super exciting, like for you as a person, but also for your team, like, because you're passing the baton to give them ownership as well, right?
Absolutely.
Which is everything you'd want to do as a business owner, to bring other people along that journey, but at the same time, now you're getting to go and do something that you absolutely love. Not only do you love, but you're good at it because you have experience from it. Now you've joined one of the best teams. What excites you most about that opportunity?
Oh, gosh, actually, there's quite a few things. I have to be honest, one of the most exciting things is the opportunity for mentorship.
Yeah.
You know, I just think every day's a school day.
Yeah,
you know, if you're open to it. And I'm really, really looking forward to, like, upping my game.
But that's an interesting point. What do you think? Because what do you think makes a good student when it comes to learning from a mentor? Because you've obviously learned from mentors, and you've actually taken on and actioned what they've said to you. Because that's a skill. So what is it that I
don't know if I've thought about it before, but I would say that just shut up.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Just be quiet and listen sometimes.
Like listen, right?
Yeah.
Like, be willing to actually, hey, leave my ego at the door. That's one of the best things.
Great book. Yeah.
When I go to this conference in Miami, and like there's, you know, operators from all over the world who are doing some seriously cool stuff and making a lot of money in the agency world, but the facilitator makes everyone take their cap off and their mask off, and so you actually have to sit there and listen, you know. No egos.
I don't prescribe to egos either.
Yeah.
So I think it's also about managing that.
That's cool.
You know, that that you're not prescribing to be something that you're not.
Yeah.
Either. Like, just try and be authentic at all times. Then people really get to see you, because our egos can definitely be quite damaging for us.
So true.
I walk around thinking I'm taller than I am. That's just my ego.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still only 5 foot. So
I like that. What else are you excited about?
I'm really excited to start talking. I keep saying to everyone, I love talking about windows and doors. I'm super excited to start talking about the whole house.
Yeah.
You know, because that's a huge, diverse conversation. The Canterbury market. You know, we have one of the most exciting markets, I think, in New Zealand. I was up in Auckland at actually at an industry summit 2 weeks ago. And as part of that, the industry had some discussions and some panels and all the rest of it. And what kept coming up is the rate, because it's in the construction industry, what kept coming up was the comparisons, how Christchurch is like the top of the town talk. You know, it's buzzing, it's fizzing, we've got so many diverse different developments, we've got so 100%. Many amazing commercial opportunities, you know, but actually what's the core of our community?
Yeah.
It's our mums and dads in homes. It's our you know, our new homeowners. It's the other stuff that just keep happening, right, in the background. Everyone figuring out with people what are they wanting to achieve? Like, what's their next move? And then how do we get to that?
I think Christchurch is a good place to live.
Yeah.
You know, like when you go to other parts of the world and even other parts of New Zealand, like Christchurch has a lot of infrastructure that families and people want.
Yeah, definitely.
And then they have a bunch of stuff that other cities just don't have, you know? or you know, and I think when people start to come down here and they start to realise, oh, I could be anywhere in 20 minutes.
Yes.
I can actually buy a house here that you know, I'm not going to go into a huge amount of debt for compared to other areas. It makes it more lifestyle friendly too, I think, as well.
I think because we're all, as like humans, we're all seeking health, you know, health and balance. Sort of like, I think that, you know, for our generation, we came through quite a phase of, we were the technology kids. So we were the trial bunnies for all of the tech companies. You know, I had one of the first Nokias. I sold one of the first Nokias, you know, and now I look at you know, at what my kids use, and they, you know, they've got a computer in their hand that they've had from such a young age. So they are our R&D. They're our R&D kids, but guess what? We were the test bunnies for it all.
100%.
And, you know, I think that's a huge change that you can kind of go through. I probably went off task a little bit there.
It is like that is actually happening. And look, I think one of the other cool things that Christchurch has got is good schooling. You know, and like, I think you've made a smart move getting into an environment like when you love talking to people and then you love houses, like it's just natural that you go to real estate, right?
I'd also have to say that the thing that I'm most impressed with from a governance point of view, because you know, we're in business, governance is huge. When I've just finished my reset of my license, the level that it's gone up in 8 years about what is our responsibility has blown me away. I'm really pleased to see it. I'm not a risk taker. I'm a rule maker. So I have, you know, a very strong drive for making sure that you're doing the right thing with the person. So, you know, again,
who would be, if I could wave the magic wand, who would be the perfect family person for you, like to help them sell their house? Who would you love to be talking to? Because people will be listening to this and they'll go, oh, real estate agent, you know? Like there's so many opportunities out there, and I think there's real opportunities for real estate agents growing their personal brand, and there's some people that do it really, really well. But I think there's still some real opportunities in that market to just do it even a bit better. So you know, I guess people will be listening to this, business owners listening to this, they like dealing with business owners. Who would be your perfect person? Is it someone that's looking to grow an investment portfolio, or is it someone that's looking to add value to their house? Who do you think you would like to talk to?
But I think that my strength is to work along clients, you know, who might actually just be a bit nervous about the process.
Nice. Yeah, so you've done so many of it, right? Like you know, it's very hard to pigeonhole yourself into a category these days, because you from a business perspective in real estate, you know, I'm trained and licensed to be a residential real estate agent. So, you know, that should cover all breadths of, you know, buildings that come into that category. I'm not trained to be a commercial agent. I think where there's a connection and a personal story is probably where I would blossom the most. Nice.
Where it's a transactional based, I'm quite legality, so therefore that's a step in process, right? That's less emotional. I can do that. That's fine. You know, they are transactional. But now today we have a crossover. We have lots of lots of people who are going, how's my money going to work smartly for me?
Yeah, 100%.
You know,
right?
I might have my baseline, my home, but actually I've got this other stuff.
Yeah.
And then now I'm looking at investments, I'm looking at sharesies, I'm looking at property, I'm looking at that,
I think that's a great conversation that's probably not being had enough, right?
Yeah. And it's like we want to make sure that those people that have got that money, when it was our parents, it was just, hey, come over here and put your money over here and hopefully it doesn't go bust, and you don't lose your retirement. Now we have diversity of where we can actually put that money. So I think you actually have to be open to being or sourcing the right guides for people that are looking for that information.
I like that.
And don't try and be what you're not. Like, I know that I'm not qualified to speak in investment.
Yeah.
I know that I am qualified to bring in the right people to do that for my clients. And I also know with, especially with the Harcourts Gold, there are so many well-versed, experienced people in every sector that I can draw on, because that community is huge within the Harcourts group.
So good. When, like you said, you've been 2 weeks. When do you start, like, in the office?
I've been hybriding
Nice.
for the last few weeks. I've been getting onboarded. The onboarding process, I have to say, has been one of the best I've ever seen, and I've worked for some of the biggest corporates. So I've thoroughly enjoyed that. I think frustrating for them because I've taken a wee bit long sometimes, just with being a bit busy.
What's one thing that they've done really well?
Welcomed.
Yeah.
Welcomed. 100%. The process and that they will happen. They have the right people doing all of the right things. But the welcoming. I think that's been. It makes you feel like you've actually made the right decision.
Well, the thing for me is success leaves clues, right? And they are one of the best, real estate, real estate companies in the world. They win number one all the time. So,
that's right.
Success leaves clues. If they're doing those little things like we talked about, if they're doing that well.
Oh, and sharing. I was going to say that. I can't believe how much sharing has happened in open forums where the leaders at the top of their game are sitting down and saying, this is how I do it.
Wow. That's cool.
Give that a try.
You
know what I mean? Put that
clues,
put that suit on and see how that works for you. Make it yours though. Don't try and be me, obviously, because that's never going to work for anybody.
So good.
Yeah.
When you don't worry about, like, always, one of my favorite sayings is if you can have whatever you want in life if you just help other people get what they want first. Zig Ziglar said it best, and I think that's a real trait that Harcourts have, and Harcourts Gold especially. Very cool. Man, this has been a fantastic conversation. I believe an hour has blown past. I always like to find out what people are reading. Are you a reader?
I am now a podcast listener. I've stopped reading books because I read a lot of boring manuals.
What's one that you'd give as a business owner listening to this that, hey, you know what, they should start listening to a podcast?
Oh, I haven't got anyone, podcast listening at the moment. I'm podcast book listening, I should say. Yeah,
so like Audible.
Audibles. Yeah. A book I've just finished is Gazelle Pellicot. So she's a French
beautiful name
writer, and I read her book because she's a number one seller. But her story is about, to the ultimate, a human resilience.
Nice.
She had some trauma put upon her, which was horrific. And I would have to say the grace and elegance in which she came through that trauma was incredibly inspiring. Yeah,
I love that. Human resilience is another thing in this world. Like if you, I don't know if you can teach it. You kind of have to experience it, and I don't know. Maybe you can teach it.
I sort of feel like some days, your resilience may have to be higher. And then other days maybe it's a bit you don't need to have. You're a bit more rolly with it all. I do think that I do think like that attitude of, okay, that happened, right, I might not like it or whatever, but I accept it. And now I need to, maybe put my big girl pants on and brush myself off and like, let's go again.
Nice.
And I think that's resilient. That's what resilience means to me. And I think it means a different thing to everybody. But for me, resilience is, do you know what? You get a knockdown. Okay. Try not to let it affect you. Like, talk about it. I think that helps with resilience. We used to be quietly resilient. And we were told that we had to be quiet as well. And now we're trying to say, no, don't be quiet. Talk about it.
Well, isn't that the thing is, kids, we were told to, hey, kids are supposed to be seen, not heard. But now if you want to make any money in this world and you actually have to be heard and seen.
100%.
Which is crazy.
I definitely agree.
Cool. Do you know what the book was called?
It's A Hymn to Life.
Okay, so people are going to be listening to this. How do they get hold of you?
Oh,
so you got Thermoglaz hat on. Where do people go for that? And let's talk about real estate as well.
So for Thermoglaz, for any inquiry, you can always send us an email to info@thermoglaz.co.nz, and our amazing admin team will absolutely look after you. And that's for any free, no obligation quote.
Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect. And we'll put the show in the show notes as well. And then, hey, people want to sell their house?
Absolutely. Give me a call. I'm 027 2266774 or andrea.cockburn@harcourtsgold.co.nz.
How good.
Thank you.
It's like, that's an exciting time, and I know you're going to go really well at that, and you've chosen the right environment and the right people to be around, and
it wouldn't be possible actually if my business partner and management team also didn't believe and have said, here's some guidelines. That we need. Can we manage all of that? And we've come collectively to that agreement. So without their buy-in, actually, it might not have been the right time, but we know that it is.
It's exciting to build something that you can then do that too, though, right? Like, that didn't happen just because it happened. It happened by being intentional, right? And I think when you get a good group of people around, you can intentionally build something like this, what you've done. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you.
I think anyway, I'm excited by it because that's just all right. Hey, so guys and girls, you've been listening to this. There's so many good takeaways here. I think the Stop, Start, Recreate was a really good one that you should go back and listen. But also, I think one of the biggest takeaways for me on this one, Andrea, was around boundaries, and not that you don't actually, sometimes as business owners, we think we have to fill the boundaries or overfill the boundaries, and maybe we don't, right? And that's a really good takeaway. I'm going to go and listen to that again because I think you said a couple of things there that resonated with me. So I really appreciate you coming on.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. Sorry it's taken 3 months.
No, it's been a great chat, and obviously you're busy, so I appreciate you coming in and sharing your wisdom. So here's the thing. We've done our bit, now we need you to do something for us. Just share this podcast. Like, share it with someone who needs to hear, a business owner or a sales consultant that needs to hear about boundaries, or needs to hear about some motivation, or needs to hear, one of those little things, a small hinge that could swing a big door in their business. So I really appreciate everyone sharing the podcast. It's been fascinating. Over 200 and something episodes now. People share this podcast and our numbers keep going up. But the most important thing is you take some value away. So my challenge here is find one thing that you've listened to today and go and do it. Go and implement it, and then tag us in on a post on LinkedIn or Instagram or Facebook, and let us know what you've learned, what you've done, because that means we're doing our job. So Andrea, thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
Now for you, go out there, have some fun, take some action, and as always, celebrate your victories.